Hi, Dave McIntosh here with another adventure for you in Algonquin, this time on Lake Opeongo. It was 2004 and my wife was having some back problems, so portaging wasn't going to work, but we still wanted to spend time in Algonquin. So I booked our trip on Lake Opeongo. Opeongo is Algonquin's biggest lake, and I really didn't know how big it really was. We had never been there before, but I had heard that it was a great place to see moose, and that is exactly what I wanted to do. I don't really like big lakes. I prefer smaller, more intimate lakes, but this was the right choice for that year. It is closer to the east side of Algonquin and on the north side of Highway 60. To get to the lake, you have to turn off 60 and travel several kilometers along a windy gravel road until you get to the bottom end of the lake. When you get to the lake, there is a store where you can rent your equipment if you need to. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. The first secret is they have a water taxi that will load up your canoe and you and your gear and take you up to the top end of the lake. You can also make arrangements with them to come back and pick you up at the top end of the lake and bring you back to the store at a time determined by you. It is not cheap, but for a few people it's not bad, and it will save you a lot of time and effort getting to and from the top end of the lake. When we got there, we didn't know about the taxi and had our own gear, so we packed up and headed off. Of all the other lakes we had been on, it only took us about an hour to paddle from one end of the lake to the other at the very most. So off we went. We were heading for the north ear or arm of the lake and to Hailstorm Creek. That is where the moose seemed to like to hang out. As we moved north, the lake got bigger and bigger, but we kept paddling. Then we came to where the two north arms and the south body of the lake come together. It was not a windy day, but the lake nevertheless got rough enough, and we worked hard to get across that section of the lake. To complicate matters, because it is a big lake, motorboats are allowed, and it is a favorite place to fish for some people. So the motorboats were adding to the waves that were keeping us on our toes. After we got through that section and into the north arm, things settled down and we worked our way over to the mouth of Hailstorm Creek, as there was a campsite over there that we wanted to stay at that night. After a 4+ hour paddle, we reached the campsite and it was unoccupied, so we stopped and got ourselves set up for the night. The site was in a little bay and very nice, with a bit of a beach. After supper, we went for a little paddle into the mouth of Hailstorm Creek just to check it out, as that is where we were headed the next morning. We had barely gotten into the creek, which is pretty big at the mouth, when we saw a cow and a calf feeding on the water lilies. I couldn't believe it. We were in luck already, and I got my camera working as fast as I could. After taking several pictures, we headed back to camp and settled in for the evening. This is the next secret. Hailstorm Creek is a fabulous place to go and see and interact with moose. As we sat by the fire enjoying the evening, just before dark, the cow and the calf swam across the bay right in front of our campsite. Did you know moose could swim? Well, they can. Later, in the middle of the night, I got woken up by an elbow in the ribs from my wife and the question, "What is that?" As I cleared my head and listened, I could hear the moose breathing just outside our tent. I couldn't believe it. It was so close, I could hear it breathe. Then a little later, I got up to pee, and the moose was still hanging around just by the water's edge, probably with its calf sleeping somewhere behind us. The next couple days we explored Hailstorm Creek and all the wildlife there, and then we decided to move on. We headed north and stayed one night at the north end of the North Arm. The site we stayed at must have been frequented by fishermen, as they had fixed it up a bit with a table to work on and a bit of a shelter. From there, we headed around to the East Arm. We got a campsite on the shore with a big island right across from us. I don't know if it was just the time we were there or not, but this area of the lake seemed really wild. There was no one else around. It was more wild than any other place I'd been to in Algonquin. Here we had more encounters with moose as well. The next day we headed north, then around the top end of the island, and then headed south to the south arm of the lake. As we crossed the intersection of the three arms, it got pretty rough again, but we got across it okay, and then started looking for a campsite. We were hugging the west shore, and not too far down, we found a site that was empty and looked good, so we pulled in and got unloaded. It wasn't long, maybe 10 minutes after we pulled in, that the sky began to darken and the winds started picking up, and before we knew it, the waves on the lake had to be a meter high. I couldn't believe how fast the weather changed, and we were glad we were on shore and out of the canoe. We were able to get the tent set up before the rain began, but boy, that was quick. This is another secret of Opeongo, and that is the weather can change very quickly and the lake become very, very rough. In another hour or so, the rain had stopped and the winds had dropped and the sun came back out. Wow, that was a close one. We enjoyed our evening together on that campsite, and then the next morning packed up and headed down to the store at the south end of the lake and packed up there and headed home. It was an adventure that we will never forget, but we wouldn't change a thing. Thanks for traveling with us on this adventure, and I hope to see you again next time as we make another trip into the north.